I am so excited to share with you how to stash stories to use in your email marketing. Story strategy for email is so powerful. It creates really fast connection in email. And in the world where AI is sending out emails all the time, people are craving human connection. Stories from your real world life are relatable, they're quick, they're easy, and every single person has this endless stash of them ready to roll out. So I'm going to talk to you about how I collect our stories to use in slick business email marketing. Step number 1 of story stashing is to start noticing things in your everyday life that are curious, interesting, story-worthy stuff. Now, I know you think you're boring. I think I'm boring. But you know what? We're not. Every single one of us has interesting, story-worthy things to tell. So the thing you're worried about is that if you start telling stories, you're going to be boring and people are going to unsubscribe from your list. The exact opposite of that is true. When people feel a human connection to you, they will start to relate to you more as a human being. So start noticing things in your life that are mundane, weird, funny. It doesn't really matter what it is, just the everyday stuff. Here's a great example. I lost my AirPods, except I hadn't lost my AirPods. And that's it. That's the story. My AirPods were in my bag all along. Ha ha, stupid me. Another one is I was waiting for the ferry one day and I was helping some people who didn't even realize they were waiting for the ferry in the wrong place. They were on the wrong landing. And there was something in there about helping people before they even knew that they needed help. Things you saw, things you heard, things you did. When you get in the habit of noticing things that are happening in your everyday life, it gets much easier to pull stories out when you need them. You're not boring. Everyone has stories in their life. And I would love to hear your thoughts about this. What stories have happened in your day so far? Tell me in the comments. Once you've started noticing things, the next step is to think on the spot, right now, can I take a quick picture of something here? Because a picture paints 1,000 words, right? And you're going to need an image at some point. So here's a great example of that. We were sorting out my plants. You can see the plants. They're behind me. This is my friend Rachel, who has to save my plants from death by strangulation. Now, the last time Rachel was here, I took a quick picture of it. I had Rachel's permission and I asked her to turn away from the camera because she doesn't want to be all over my social media. Taking that picture gives you a resource that you can use when you come to be making an image. It also jogs your memory. And it does not need to be fancy. That picture should be a quick snap, a selfie of you. Real people are much more engaging than any stock photo or posed photo you could possibly imagine. So taking that photo is really important. It could be a picture of some blackberries that I saw in the hedgerow because I was thinking about seasonality in emails. It's cheap. It's free, in fact, because you already own your phone. There's no faff involved and you've immediately got an image you can use in your eventual use of the story. Third thing, look for a context or a moral to your story. Think Aesop's fables here. What we're looking for here is meaning, education, entertainment, and to give people some information as part of your story. Because ultimately you want to sell stuff, which means you need to impress them with how much you know about your subject. So anytime you've noticed something and taken a quick picture, you can also think, can I think of a quick way of how this relates to the stuff that I teach? I'm going to show you an example of that. I took a picture one day of an orchid in amongst our chive patch. My kid came in and said, oh my God, there's an orchid in the chives. I went out and took a picture. And as I was doing that, I was thinking, oh, this is great because it's like treasure hiding in amongst something that looks completely ordinary. And the moral to this one, for my context, is that in your list of email contacts, amongst them are treasures. People who are hot contacts and they're kind of hiding in plain sight. Humans love analogy, metaphor. This is like this other thing. Anything that you can bring in that relates this ordinary everyday thing that happened or that you saw or did or thought in your world, relate it to what you know about, what you teach, what you're trying to sell. It's going to embed that story. It's like a light bulb moment going off. And the weirder it is, the better, the more memorable it is. While we're here, I just want to introduce you. See this? This is me. This is Auntie Kay. Now, this is Lego Auntie Kay. And Lego Auntie Kay has actually been the source of several stories. People ask, how did you get there? How did you become an active campaign specialist, Kay Peacey, world leading on their customer advisory board? That's a story. The story of how Lego Auntie Kay got lost at Center Parcs one day when I was on a business retreat. That's a story too. And the picture for that would just be a little picture of Lego Auntie Kay. It's easy to tell stories once you get in the habit of it. It's all about forming a habit. The next thing you need to do, you need somewhere to stash the story. And this is where you're going to need a little bit of tech. It doesn't have to be complicated. The other night, I was chatting to my kid. She did what I realized was a split test on her hair. She'd put curl cream on this side and no curl cream on the other side and was looking at the difference. I'm like, okay, that's the thing I can notice. And I took a picture. And then later on, I thought, oh, I know what I can use this for. It's like an email split test. When you're doing an email, you should split test one thing at a time. Here's the key about stashing the story. You need somewhere quick to write this down at the moment you think of it. And it's got to be fast, because if it's not fast, you will not do it. It's got to be convenient so that you don't forget. If you don't do it in the moment, that story is gone from your head. The chances of you remembering it later on are pretty small. So for me, I use my phone to do this because I always have it with me, and I'm sure you do too. I use a tool called Airtable because it is very, very easy to upload quickly the notes, the moral, a title and a picture, or whichever bits you happen to have from that. You don't have to have all the bits to start off with. The absolutely critical thing is being able to write it down really quickly. I love Airtable for this because for me it's quick, and because I can stash the image in there as well. That place to stash could be an album on your phone, doesn't matter what it is, so long as you are able to just go and very quickly be like, oh, light bulb moment, put it in there. Tell me what tech you would use for this. You could do it on paper, get it written down. That's your story stash. Now, once you've finished stashing the stories, once a week, you're going to come in and prep the stories that appeal. This is how I do it. I pick a couple of stories on a Monday and prepare them. Prep. When you're doing the prep, your job is to make sure that they have got an image that you can use on social media, that they've got a subject line, a pre-header, and that you actually write the story at this point. The beauty of doing this is if you've started from a fairly detailed piece of information like that, where you've got the moral ready to go, it's actually really quick to put that story together. And you can even use AI to polish the story for you if you want, or to make sure that it's a particular length, because the story came from human you, right? AI on its own cannot write a story about an orchid in amongst the chives and how that is like looking for a hot lead in your email contacts. AI can't do that. But if you give AI the starting point in your own words, it can certainly polish it and speed up the process of preparing your content. That's your story stash. So we have a vault of literally hundreds of these stories in various stages. They're all stashed in there, and many of them have been prepped so that they are done, ready to roll out. And that is where we get our Sunday story from every single week. I would love for you to get on my email list, because if you want to see me walk the walk, that's how you're going to do it. Get on our email list. It is at slickbusiness.co/emails. Get on the email list, subscribe to this channel, because we have so much great email strategy to share with you. And I will see you again in the next video. Keep watching. Check out our predictions for email in the year ahead. It is going to be playful, and it's all about storytelling.